to me the other day that shocked me. Not really, but it kind of did, coming from this individual, because they were actually being honest. Usually all they do is gaslight and bullshit, but they actually had a breakdown and had an honest moment. When we were talking about race in America, she said, "I don't think black people deserve equality and justice because they could never get enough." And I realized, for the first time I've ever talked to this person about race, she was actually being brutally honest. And I also realized this is the psyche of white America. Not all, but for the majority. Most of white America have always been scared of black and brown folks getting justice, getting equality, getting what's fair, because they want to hold and cling on to white supremacy so dearly, that system that protects their privilege, that dominant hierarchy position of whiteness. That being said, I'm going to say something, and I want you to let it sit. I just want you to sit with it. Let it settle into your consciousness. Just let it sit with you for a while before you get into your feelings, into your denial, into your ignorance, into your delusion racially. Just let it sit and listen. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we do as a nation will fail. Why does America keep voting against its own self-interest? Why do we continue to do things that undermine our very well-being? White supremacy is the living, festering cancer, devouring our nation from the inside out. It's the toxic force behind every backward policy. The exact reason we're so stunned and shamefully far behind other developed nations. White supremacy, the very thing white America claims to despise, yet simultaneously denies, gaslights about, actively avoids, and utterly ignores, all while perpetrating racism. The reason this country keeps voting against its own damn self-interest, the reason we consistently shoot ourselves in the foot, is brutally simple. Pure terrified fear of a black and brown nation. Fact. This isn't new. This isn't just about today. This is history's cruelest loop. We love white supremacy. We embrace slavery. We clung to Jim Crow. We have always chosen to poison our own wells rather than allow an ounce of equality. This obsession breeds internal hate, forces us into a blind, ignorant delusion. It has weaponized us against each other. White against white, race against race, culture against culture. This is the profound damage to your psyche, your society. We'd rather bleed our own nation dry, sacrifice our cities, our health, our economy, our global credibility, than loosen one pathetic finger from white privilege. You thought you could weaponize white supremacy to justify your own greed, to hoard power. All you've done is destroy yourselves and your own fucking nation. Imagine a nation so diseased by racism, so desperate to cling to its twisted sense of white superiority. It would rather self-destruct, rip apart its own democracy and watch its citizens suffer and die. That nation is America. Face the ugly fucking truth. Look at what we've done. Cutting Medicaid, slashing SNAP, sacrificing the vulnerable for billionaire tax breaks, abandoning humanitarian aid, annihilating our global standing, our very morality, actively suppressing votes, tearing down our democracy, building the world's largest prison system, shattering families, all because of the white man's greatest, most pathetic fear that black and brown people might actually be treated fairly. Our air is poisoned, our infrastructure is collapsing, our schools are failing, all because we'd rather cling to archaic, racist structures that build a decent, functional society for ourselves. Understand this. We aren't just hurting black and brown communities. No. We are actively killing ourselves as a nation. Our racism has so corrupted us, we'd choose a pedophile felon to run the country simply because he was a racist strongman. We are willingly plunging into fascism, sacrificing our fundamental liberties and economic equality, all because we choose white supremacy over freedom. Every damn bit of it for the sake of the ignorant, hateful disease festering in our hearts. So white America, hear this. Stop being cowards. Look into the fucking mirror. This cancer of white supremacy is consuming us. If you don't tear it down, if you don't confront this fear, You will watch this nation die. Your nation, our nation. The time for denial is over. The time to choose is now. I'll say it again. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we do as a nation will fail. Fact.
Shalom. I want to start off by giving all glory, praises, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to the brothers that's teaching this truth and sincerity. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the 1/3, and sincere listeners. All right, Yahweh be in the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai be in the name of his Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, this gospel is truth, salvation, the kingdom of heaven is for the Israelites only. Who are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and the ones scattered abroad that may look like the other nations, but your spirit resonates with this truth. All right, the kingdom of heaven is for you. Pretty much, I'm going to title this video something along the lines of, the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, or rather cling on to white supremacy, even if it means, even if it's at his own destruction. And pretty much why I brought this video out is because, like I said, he would rather hold on to white supremacy than to actually uplift his own society, his own kingdom. He doesn't want there to be a so-called even playing field amongst the other nations, and he doesn't really understand that if there was a so-called even playing field, so to speak, right, he can actually benefit from that. So, but the Lord has them in a trick bag, catch-22, where he'd rather self-destruct, and that's a beautiful thing. All right, and just because something comes to mind now, okay, this devil, we go in the spirit. You might have something lined up, scripture already, but then you go in the spirit, and then you remember, right? Psalm 64:6, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. But Yahweh shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. Okay, and that arrow is coming physically and spiritually, all right? Physically being the sword, all right, the ICBMs, war, plagues, famine, pestilences, right? Because really the Lord's the one that's bringing these things. But this is the point here. Psalm 64:8, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away, right? So the point being that they're going to make their own tongue fall upon themselves, all right? The words that they spoke is going to be put right back upon them, man, all right? Because they wanted certain policies and laws in place. They wanted to get rid of immigrants and all these things, right? but it's gonna backfire, right? Like, think about it. You want to get rid of the Mexicans, the illegals, so to speak, whoever is undocumented, right? You want to get rid of those people, maybe the ones that's working the farms and whatnot. Okay, you get rid of them. Then who's going to work those jobs? Obviously, we know that we're moving into a digital age. They're bringing in robots, AI, all that stuff. But I'm just saying, theoretically, right? If you get rid of the people that's doing the farm work, then who do you expect to do the farm work? Judah? Gad? Reuben, right? All you expect you know what I mean? I'm not saying Issachar. I'm not saying Issachar is dedicated to do it, but Issachar was willing to do it. Issachar, it worked for Issachar because he probably take that money, go back home, and build up his nation, build up his thing. You know what I mean? The Lord has all the tribes in their lots for a reason. You know what I mean? However we're set up, and wherever we're set up, however we're looked upon in society, the Lord has set us all up, set the tribes up where they need to be for a reason, man. You know what I mean? But you can't expect Judah to go back on the farm and the plantation, man. Judah done came too far for all that shit. You know what I mean? You really can't expect Southern Kingdom at all to do that. You know? And I'm not saying Northern Kingdom needs to do it. But like I said, I even said Gad. You don't expect Gad to do it. Don't expect Reuben to do it. I'm talking about who's been in the land. You know what I mean? And also to make claim, Issachar, they also have they have stake. They have a stake to the land of America as well, because their empire, you know, I believe they go back to the Aztecs, right? Whatever. But technically, whatever, for lack of better terms, Mexicans were already here in America, you know, from like Texas, parts of California, you know, that region, New Mexico, whatever, Arizona. You know, you probably had Issachar already in these lands already. You see what I'm saying? Mixed up amongst Gad, which is the Native Americans, and the Seminole Indians, and the Reubenites, which are the Seminole Indians. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of the, you know, few of these, you know, there's a good bit of tribes, you know, we can't really leave out in like laying stake to America. You know what I mean? You know, we know Judah has their claim, Gad, Reuben, but you can't leave out Issachar either. You know what I mean? But going back to the point, man, this devil, he'd rather shoot himself in the foot than to actually build infrastructure for society, to build up his nation, prop up his economy the right way. You know what I mean? We're dealing with the devil here, man. Okay? He doesn't want to see it. If he's not living good, you can't be living good. You know what I mean? And mind you, majority of these, you know, most of these Edomites, they're spiritless as all hell, man. You know, they see you with something. I'm gonna probably do a video on that as well. They see you with something nice, they're jealous, they're mad. You know, it could be a simple, basic thing as that you having a home, a place to lay your head. You know what I mean? Like you don't deserve a home, a place to lay your head, to a place to sleep, a place to relax when you need to, a place to cook a meal. They act like you don't deserve these things because they're the devil, right? And at any cost, if they can make life harder for you, they'd rather make life harder for you than it is for, you know, even at the cost of making it life harder for them. And right now, like I always, you know, in the spirit, I always said that something big has to happen to Jake in order for them to feel it, you know, coming into Jacob's trouble, because Jake's always been in a recession. If you really think about it, Jacob has always been at an economic disadvantage all through their life as a nation. You have Jake's, you know, Israelites among us that are doing well, but overall as a nation, we've always been at an economic disadvantage. However, we're still here. You know what I mean? It's just that these Edomites are the ones complaining about inflation and all these political terms and, you know, things that we're aware of. All right. But really, only Edomites, because we're the Israelites, you know, we're the ones bringing out this truth. You know, starting with our apostles and elders on down, we have to concern ourselves with economics and stuff like that. But mainly, only Edomites concern themselves with these things. The average Jake doesn't care about all that shit. You know what I mean? And it's not to say it's shit, because it's important to know, right? But the average Jake, they're just living their life, man. Okay, you think the average Jake is saying, "Oh, let me put away X, Y, and Z amount of my paycheck into stocks or an investment. I'll put 10%." Average Jake, you know what I mean? They're just living. They're just in survival mode, man. Most Jake don't have much to pass down to the next generation. They're not really, you know, Jake trying to do that generational wealth thing now. But this is the last generation, man. I'm saying you're not passing down no riches. Okay, you know, you're not passing down no riches for real, man. You're not gonna live up into 70 and then pass down riches, man. We're not here for that long, man. You know what I mean? And I probably do another video as well, because when we, you know, if and when some of the men of the Lord get hemmed up, get locked up, don't expect to be in there for long, man. You know, I was just in the spirit, I was meditating on that. Don't expect to be in there for no long time. 20-year sentence, and are you kidding me? We're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, be happy that you're going in, bro. You know, it's fucked up, but you gotta meditate on these things, man. Be happy because you know we're at the end, bro. Like, it is what it is. What the fuck? Like, okay, you're going to jail in a fucking prison planet when this devil has the MOTB and everything all implemented and stuff like that. Fuck it, I'll sit. I'll do a bid, bro. There's no living after that, bro. There's no life after that. So fuck it. So how you be in there for however long, man? Know what I mean? But yeah, that's for another topic still. Job 9:24. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, let's do it. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked Edomite devil. Okay? Salakia. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, the so-called white man. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Okay? And that's what you have right now. He's the one that's ruling this earth. And he'll have you live in he'll try and be the thorn in your thigh or side, even if it's at his own expense, even if he's a thorn in his own side, right? And the thing is about these devils, right? If just to say the Lord just said, F it, we're gonna get rid of all the, the Lord's like, all right, I'm just gonna beam up. Hypothetically speaking, we know it's not gonna happen, right? But I'm just putting out a theory. Okay? Or let's just put it this way. Let's just say all Israel turned to the east and prayed to the Most High and said the prayer. And the Lord beamed us up and we're in the chariot. And then all of a sudden, the world wakes up and there's no Israelites on the earth. And Esau, he's just stuck with himself and whatever rest heathens in Babylon, right? Esau will... Who would Esau have to blame now? Because these devils, they still have to live by the contract of Psalms 83 in a sense, spiritually, because they were all confederate. All these nations were confederate against us. So as long as we were the boogeyman, we were the scapegoat, the scapegoat. No, it's a joke, but the scapegoats, right? Then everybody was all good. Everybody can make money off of us. Everybody can laugh. Everybody can ha kiki and keep, as long as we got them niggas where they need to be, it is what it is, right? But now, when we're gone, your society will collapse. You Edomites will be cannibalizing each other physically and spiritually. Your whole system would impale, bro. You know what I mean? It would, like I said, cannibalize. You see what I'm saying? Let's see. I want to get that word, actually. Cannibalize. Etymology. Etymology. Figurative and meaning. Be perverted into cannibalism. From cannibalize, the meaning take parts from one construction and use them in another. Originally is from 1943, originally from military equipment. Cannibalized, cannibalizing. Oh, cannibalize. I see cannibal, human that eats flesh. Okay, from Spanish, caribou, savage cannibal. From Canada, Christopher Columbus, rendition of the Caribs, name for themselves. Often given in modern, and that's going into the Northern Kingdom. So the Caribs, the indigenous of the Caribbean. All right, but they tried to make it seem like they were doing that. They were never living like that. I mean, I'm not gonna say they weren't because there's a reason why they did come. They were doing human sacrifices and all that weird shit. So I take that back. Okay, so in that sense, this devil was justified in saying that shit. However, that's a trait Esau comes with as well. Often given in modern transliterations as Kalino, Karina, see Carib, Caliban. The natives are believed by the Europeans to be anthropophagites. Columbus, seeking evidence that he was in Asia, thought the name meant natives were subject to Great Khan. Yeah, okay. You knew where you were, bro. You knew you were coming to the Americas, so what are you talking about? The form was reinforced by later writers. Uh, all right, let's get some definitions then. Cause well, anyways, cannibalize. What does it mean to cannibalize someone? Definitions: cannibalize, verb, eat human flesh. Synonyms: cannibalize, consume, have, ingest, take in. Well, you guys will consume each other, man. Let's just put it that way. You Edomites can't get along with each other, anyways. But as long as there's a boogeyman, the scapegoat, the Israelite, so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native American man, you guys can go to sleep at night. So you guys really do go to sleep at night, knowing that you have somebody to blame, project murder, project murder, project robbery, uh, GRAPEs. You know what I mean? All that stuff, domestic violence, all that weird shit. You guys like to project that on Israelites, man. Over police us. All right. You guys want to bring stats about how 13% of the population is doing majority of the violent crimes or whatever. And it's all in your hands. That's all in your hands. You see what I'm saying? Let's see. Found. KJV. Yeah, it's Exodus 21. So it says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And that's exactly what you've done to our people. Okay? Honestly, starting from all the 12 tribes, this applied to us. Okay? Because we're still in the hand of our oppressors. Okay? Let's get this. Psalm 73 and 8. I'll start at 5. Psalm 73 and 5. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain. Right. Not pride. These devils have pride on them, man. Okay? They're the most proud people on the earth. Okay? It says the pride has compasseth them. they're extolled into the clouds, right? All right, that's why so violence covered them as a garment, and that's how they run things, because they know they got the sword. The Lord gave them the blessing of the sword, and so they rule by the sword, and that's what protects them. That's their covering. All right, Jake knows not to fuck with Esau. Jake knows not to shoot at the cops for real. As a whole, these gang niggas, they know not to shoot cops, which is mainly Edomites. But when it comes to afflicting their own Jake, Israelites, so-called black on black crime, they know to do that because it doesn't matter, right? But the hypocrisy of it all with this devil, he does not care if a nigga kills another nigga. You know what I mean? However, he wants to put that Jake in prison. All he cares about is just putting that Jake in prison. If we can get this guy, we can put him in prison, and then we all make money off of this. It's a racket. It's just a racketeering, all type of corruption. But you think they really care about the victim? They don't. They're not doing it because they care and they want to bring justice to the people. They're just reactionary. They're not proactive. All right, these Edomites, they're not proactive. If you really want to clean up your society, then you would have done it by now. But you're not proactive. You're just reactive. You make a whole living off of us being in a negative light, man. Being niggas and shit. You see what I'm saying? But imagine we weren't here, and then who the fuck would you blame? Your industries would collapse. The criminal industry, the prison industrial industry would collapse. Okay, because who you gonna blame? You gonna put yourselves in that stuff? That billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar industry will collapse. You Edomites will go broke. All right, because you wanted to make crime one of your top industries for real. You know, that's what you guys are big on: guns, law enforcement, whatever, prison. That's your industry. You see what I'm saying? Instead of actually building up your nation, like let's just say Moab, the so-called Chinese, for example, right? Moab is doing they're doing their best to build up their nation, build up the kids. If you see how them kids in China, how much they're learning, practical learning, not just in class sitting down like zombies. These motherfuckers is the kids. They're cooking, they're sewing, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff, man. I seen one video even they're taking apart guns and putting it together. You see what I'm saying? They're just keeping them well equipped. They're active. They're outside. They're being active to the best of their ability. You know what I mean? What are you guys doing in America? You're dumbing down the people. You're not even teaching cursive in the schools, right? That's another thing. A lot of these kids now, they don't even know how to do handwriting, right? They call it cursive, whatever. You know what I mean? It's all witchcraft. But I'm just saying, they don't even know how to do handwriting. That's something, and they're purposely doing that, basically, I forget what I saw. I'll have to do another video on that, but I'm not even going to speak on it now. But they're purposely dumbing you people down, man. Okay? Basically, okay, so I kind of remember now. Basically, so when they start changing laws and stuff like that, you won't understand why, or you won't have a say because you don't know you don't know how to read the cursive. You don't know how to read it. A lot of these kids, they don't know how to read the cursive language, man. Handwriting and all that crap. They're barely teaching that stuff now. But it's all purposely to dumb you people down. The eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than the heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. And that's it, bro. That's all you hear is their rhetoric, man. That's all you hear is these devils, man. You know what I mean? Just spewing out lies and nonsense, man. And nothing for your benefit either. And they speak loftily concerning oppression, man. And all you MAGA motherfuckers, you guys are feeling it now, man. All you Edomite so-called white people that voted for Trump, and he took away your fucking Medicaid. You wanted Medicaid gone, but he took away your fucking Medicaid. He took away every American's Medicaid. He didn't discriminate. You think this devil really gives a fuck about you? You think your own gives a fuck about you? You think Amalek gives a fuck about you, the so-called Jew? All right, the small hat? He doesn't give a fuck about you so-called white people. All right? It's levels to this shit, man. But you guys are done. And I love to see it. That guy as well, I got to put it out there. He could be a Jake, honestly. But we don't know. But regardless, it doesn't matter if he's a Jake or not. You see what I'm saying? Because you're not doing the work. You didn't repent. Then it is what it is. But he did seem sincere in his chatter. Most Edomites, let's get the scripture, man. Because this is the reason why I think he could be a Jake. Jake just has a certain spirit on them. It's in Revelation, either or. Let's see, 16. Revelation 16 and 9. And men were scorched with great heat and blasphemed the name of Yahweh. Which men? The Edomites. Okay? Which hath power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom with full of. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven, Yahweh, because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. So here it is, these devils, they're in pain, they're suffering, and they repented not. Still, man, these devils, man, I honestly, wholeheartedly believe, okay, with all my heart, you know a devil when you see a devil, hear a devil, because these devils will not repent, right? They're confederate, you know, they band together, you know what I mean? Like, they speak highly against oppression. You know a devil from his speech, all right? His slick tongue coming through all innocent and then acting like he's the victim and then the aggressor at the same time. He's the victim and the aggressor at the same time. Okay? This guy, he has self-awareness. That's something Jake had. This guy that was speaking on the situation. And that's why I say he might be a Jake. But it, you know, so whatever. It is what it is. And he can kind of get away with talking shit to Esau because he looks like Esau, you know? But it is what it is. So, you know, Lord will, you're edified. I'm going to say shalom and to the next one.